Hi everyone and welcome to another pick a card reading. Today's subject is reflection from your higher self. And before I begin the reading, let me just explain what this actually wants to mean. Like without a shadow of doubt, we are living a very chaotic moment where from so very many different perspectives, so of course even spiritual one, it is the power and influence of chaos which is more dominant right now. And yes, of course, this can be unsettling, frightening, confusing, even fearful, but there is always a positive side to it, because at the end of the day, when it comes to creation, well, all creation is born at least in a certain state from chaos, from the primordiality. And strictly from a spiritual perspective, chaos has a very dominant quality to it. It is always and always honest. And that is a good thing, ultimately. So I decided to take this opportunity to channel a one-card message from our higher selves to see what truth this chaos reflects for us personally. This is totally random. That one card message can mean absolutely anything from any area of life. So let just this be a surprise to all of us. Like always, the instructions are simple. Just take a look at the 5 cards for a couple of seconds, or as long as you need to, and then choose the one which speaks to your intuitive perception the most. The timestamps for the interpretations can be found in the comments below and also in the description of this video. So after this being said, thank you so much for being here and listening, and now let's get to the reading. Hello everyone who has chosen the first card. For you guys, what the higher self reflects is delivered by the Two of Wands reversed. Now, first of all, naturally, this card speaks about the past, perhaps quite the recent past for some people. And naturally, in the past, the Two of Wands was in upright position in your life. So the energetic imprint of this card. Now, in upright position, it kind of means determination, ambition, mustering the willpower, mustering the inner strength, courage. So basically everything that has to do with inner fire, to basically go out there, conquer, get what you want, work for what you want. And when the Two of Wands is in upright position, the goal, the desire, the need, whatever it is that you want to work on, whatever it is that you want to go and conquer, it is very, very clear in your mind, in your heart. So that is when the desire is fixed. It is there. You can see it. You can know in any way possible, rationally or maybe more intuitively, how that would work out, how it would make your life a better place. Would you get what you want? So this is where, for you, there might have been a moment either like 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago, where you kind of decided that you are gonna do something, go for something, work for something. And at the time, whatever this is was very clear for you because you felt the desire in a very strong and clear manner. Now, of course, what this is different for other people, but also maybe the specifics of this desire or whatever this means is not the most important part. For some people, maybe this is a determination to change certain things in their relationships, for example, people who they cooperate with, people who they interact with on a daily basis, and the specifics of the Two of Wands. This is where you want to get your point across very firmly. For example, who you are, what your preferences are, what your desires are, giving other people or a partner or friends, etc., a chance to acknowledge it and make their own choices based on what you project, on what you express, on what you tell them. But this can also be of totally different nature, for example, career-wise, creativity-wise, passion-wise. If you do something, maybe you were determined to try something out, and in those 2 weeks or 2 months you had the experience, and now your goal kind of changed a little bit. But this can also be simply inner work, like an inner journey where you ask yourself, well, what is it that I truly desire? And you were contemplating that and maybe asking clarity from the universe, and you got so many messages, and now you might be processing them and trying to use that clarity to make a choice, make a decision, to go for something or not. And for the present, this 2 of Wands is reversed, not because you lost your passion, desire, etc., but you might not be that very sure of yourself, of how to approach it. You might be questioning, is this the right time? I know that I desire it, I know what I want, I still want it, but maybe I shouldn't rush it, or for other people, I should rush it. Is it urgent or is it not urgent? And naturally, perhaps the global situation and whatever is going on in the world. Because there is so much uncertainty, we just cannot know rationally and logically if we can accomplish something, or something happens and then puts our plans back on the shelf, if that makes sense. For example, lockdown in so very many parts of the world. But anyway, that doesn't matter. What matters is that this 2 of Wands in reverse tells you that you may feel like you went back to the drawing board, and naturally this also makes a lot of sense because we just had a Mercury retrograde season. So there is a lot of new info that you received, or clarity, or maybe it is something deep within yourself that you came to understand. Whenever we have a Mercury retrograde, before the retrograde, we kind of see the big picture. We are being made ready, let's say, like mentally, to process, to analyze. All our plans are kind of evoked, but there is always a side to it where, even though we see the big picture, there is something that we definitely do not see. And during the Mercury retrograde season, it is exactly that we cannot see, comes one way or another out of the closet, and we are facing it, confronting it, becoming aware of it. And by the time Mercury retrograde ends and it goes direct, then is the moment when we process it, when we integrate it, when we truly see the big picture in all of its glory, if that makes sense. And you might be having exactly such a moment where perhaps your desire, your plan, what you want to accomplish is even more like singular, like locked in, as in maybe you're even more sure that you want it, it's the right thing for you, regardless of what nature this is, than even before, when the 2 of Wands was upright. But the thing is, there is a strong frustration here, because maybe the plans have changed, the modus operandi that you thought you were gonna follow is no longer valid. If it's like relationship, friendship, social connections, even perhaps romantic relationship, well, this is where you kind of sense that maybe other people you have a lot in common, regardless of what kind of relationship this is, but their will, because anything depends on 2 wills when there is a relationship, right? Their will is not there, so it's just you doing everything. And this realization, this epiphany is a game changer, because you don't want to play like that anymore. If other people, regardless if they're friends, associates, colleagues, if it's work or anything that has to do with an alliance, even a romantic relationship, your will is not enough to get you where you want. So this might be the game changer. And now let's get to the core of this card, to the core of the message. What your higher self wants to reflect with this, well, it's very simple. The world and everything, reality, always changes. Sometimes it does take a Mercury retrograde season, or a very chaotic period, or uncertainty and confusion to show us who and what we cannot rely upon. May that be another person, or a plan, or the way we want to accomplish things, or the path leading towards our desires. And of course, in that moment, it turns into a deep frustration because we want what we desire even more than before, but we feel a certain kind of helplessness, powerlessness. We question our choices, our decisions. We question our personal power. Why is it that we can't accomplish our desires just for once in a linear way, in a rational, logical way? Why does there have to be so many setbacks and game changers? And yet, despite the frustration, despite feeling blocked once more, as in, astrologically speaking, you might ask yourself the question, well, shouldn't Mercury retrograde when it ends and goes direct actually push you in the right direction, not block you? Isn't that actually the essence of Mercury retrograde? And this is where maybe it's not really a stagnation, a pushback, a setback. Maybe it is all the certainty that you once had and you lost. Maybe look at that as an upgrade. The more clear you are on your desires from a rather emotional perspective, the more you feel that you want it, and not because of obsession or fixation or the negative expression of desire, but quite the contrary. The purer, the more, symbolically to be understood, innocent the desire gets, while the universe will conspire more and more and more in your favor to get it, but in such a way that it matches your frequency. If your frequency became more pure, if your frequency became more, let's say, determined, you already made that part of your future. So the grand plan, the schemes, the big execution, from a divine perspective, is no longer using the path of least resistance, because basically that is how we get what we want when our desires are more superficial. But once that superficiality turns into something much more sophisticated, then the universe always adapts to this and mirrors this and just wants to make it that much more perfect for us. So if this is like a project plan, work plan, lucrative plan, or any kind of desire that you just simply need to go and accomplish through work or through whatever, then don't take this as a setback, but rather take it when your GPS, symbolically speaking, just received a big upgrade and you have to shut it down and allow it to, upload the files, and then a better path, a better course is definitely going to be displayed. And if it's a relationship, if it's friendships, social connections, well, if you changed, if you became much more serious, if you became more mature, if you became more passionate, more determined, well, you can imagine that your existing relationships will be karmically, let's say, or psychologically given the choice to match your frequency, to match who you are, or free some space for someone much better to enter your life, regardless in which sense. So basically, don't take this as a setback, don't take this as any kind of blockage, because this is where it will just reconfigure itself. The more burning, the more heated your desire is getting, well, the more perfect the way and basically the manifestation of how you achieve it. So this is what the Two of Wands reverse would like to tell you guys. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and wish everyone a really magical weekend. Hello everyone who has chosen the second card, which is the Queen of Pentacles. Now, naturally, this is a rather material card, so this might reflect something about your material life, career, job. if you're working on project, or if you have any kind of material goal, something that isn't new, but it is ongoing. So you already put effort into this, work into this, you already are in it basically. Whenever I get the Queen of Pentacles, she always reminds me of a gardener, where life from a material perspective, in so very many ways and in so very many situations, it is just like a garden where there are cycles, there are seasons, and every season has its main theme. There is a season when we have to plant, but before we plant seeds, we have to make sure that the soil is fertile enough and all of that. And then after we plant it, we have to water and nurture the soil. When the seeds start sprouting, we have to protect them from the elements, and we also have to make order from chaos, because some plants have to be plucked out to give way to others, and the weeds and all of that, and the insects. So, gardening is a rather complex process. It isn't as simple as you throw in the seeds and then nature does the rest. That is an option naturally, but that isn't necessarily the Queen of Pentacles energy, because the Queen of Pentacles is there. She is wise, she knows the cycles, she knows the seasons, so she helps her plant and whatever she planted grow in a very harmonious way. She doesn't just want the fruit or whatever, she wants the beauty as well, the harmony. She wants a beautiful harvest, if that makes sense. So first of all, what this Queen of Pentacles reflect is for you guys to ask yourselves, in which cycle, in which stage is your material goal at, regardless of what this is, your work, your project, whatever you have invested time, energy, and effort into the recent past, perhaps the year 2021. For other people, it's more like the past couple of months, the past 6 months or such. So knowing in which stage your garden, symbolically to be understood, is, well, it's very important, because that can actually give you a good hint to what to expect next, as in the next cycle. For example, if there is a lot of passion there, you're putting in a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of creativity, but there is no harvest in sight, well, that says that your seeds are still under the soil. They haven't surfaced yet, but they're alive, they're being nurtured. And just because you cannot see any big results yet, well, you have to know that creation is still taking place under the soil. It's invisible, but it's happening. So if this is your case, well, the Queen of Pentacles advises you to be patient, because very soon you will see the sprouts, the plants, symbolically to be understood, of course, again, are going to be very soon visible. And when you do have something palpable to work with, as in, even if it's just a small amount of income or whatever you would expect in return for your work, project, creativity, business, whatever that is, whatever you worked on, that will make it that much more motivational. That will be like a proof that you're on the right path. That will help you so very much psychologically, in the sense that you will see that it's there, you will see its future, so that will keep you going. And at the same time, if we use the symbolism of the garden, well, certain plants are harvested as sprouts, if that makes sense. And that implicitly means prosperity. Of course, other people might be in a totally different stage, where maybe they already have fully grown plants that flowered and bloom, which can be seen that maybe you're at a stage with your work or whatever this is, where you have a lot of appreciation of others, the beauty of the flower. You have a lot of encouragement, maybe you have a lot of moral support. This is where it isn't just you who sees the potential, but a lot of other people. but you still need certain collaborators, if that makes sense for some, or more business, or more flow, or just allow the beauty of those flowers, so whatever it is that you do, to attract more people or more business, more income. Give it a little bit more time, symbolically to be understood, where, the flowers are beautiful and there, but they still need bees and insects to pollinate them. So for you guys, this Queen of Pentacles is an encouragement to express yourself, to take pride in your business or work or creation, whatever this is. Share it, perhaps advertise it, and quite frankly, admire it yourself. Don't just let other people be the judge of whatever it is that you are doing. You have to admire it and bask in its beauty, or whatever positive quality it's susceptible of. You also have to, do that. Praise it, like it, enjoy it, share it and present it with pride, and that will attract symbolically the bees, more appreciation, fertility. And from a psychological and even spiritual sense, well, this will definitely add more magic, if that makes sense, to symbolically whatever is your garden. Now, of course, for other people, they might be in the stage where they already have fruit, so they're harvesting. And for them, this is an encouragement to harvest as much as you can. Don't wait, don't be shy, don't be reluctant, accept, take all that you can, because otherwise it will just spoil. And of course, a little part has to spoil, because what belongs to the Earth Mother belongs to the Earth Mother. So of course there is gonna be a little bit of loss sometimes, but don't fear that loss. Not everything is always gonna work out perfect. Just allow that which is fated to loss to be lost. That is almost like a tribute to the universe, to the tribute to that mysterious infinite force that makes everything grow. So basically, don't fear that. Give the Caesar what is rightfully the Caesar's, but what you can just harvest, accept, take, tap into that abundance, and naturally save it. Don't squander it. Don't just waste it. You must save it, preserve it, basically. Where when you have certain fruits, a fruit garden basically, of course you kind of make jams and other stuff like that for the winter. So the essence of preservation, put it in a safe place for a later date. Who knows what kind of times financially and economically approach in our lives. And if this is business, well, this might represent your reputation. So basically, do whatever it is that you can, because your reputation is like a preservation. It will make sure that people will come to you regardless. And naturally, for those of you who have already harvested, well, the Queen of Pentacles says that no harvest is complete without a celebration. And what the essence of celebration is, to share it. Share the harvest, share your prosperity with your loved ones, whoever your heart guides you to share it with. Because perhaps, who knows when, in any future cycle where maybe for you personally it's not going to be very prosperous, then other people will share their harvest with you. So that is also like investing karmically and morally into your own well-being. So thank you for listening. This is what the Queen of Pentacles wants to reflect for you. I wish everyone a magical weekend. Hello everyone who has chosen the third card, which is the Hangman. And I do sense that for you guys, this Hangman speaks about the present, but it strays away from its usual symbolism, which can be pretty negative, to be honest. For example, feeling stuck, a massive inner psychological stagnation, even depression. The dark night of the soul, feeling totally lost. But I do sense that this isn't what it wants to talk about today. That isn't what your higher self wants to reflect, because you have already done that and not one. This wouldn't be your first time on the rodeo, so it's not really that. There is a much more elevated quality to the hangman, because in astrology symbolism is Neptune, the divine source of mystery, and it is exactly the mysterious element which might be very, very active in your life right now. It might reflect that you feel a very unusual state brewing within yourself. Call it intuition, or call it a certain kind of soul restlessness. Maybe you might be having so very many vivid, unusual, very intense dreams. You might be also feeling a little bit so very tired, fatigued, but not in a usual way. It is very strange. You can't really explain it. And you know, the hangman, of course, is still the hangman. Maybe some of you might be facing like difficult moments. Maybe someone who you love, a family member, partner, child, is going through hard times. So maybe it's not even you personally. And then you usually should be feeling so very worried and caught up empathically. But to your surprise, that is not how you are perceiving it. For some reason, something is keeping you detached from whatever challenge is ongoing in your life right now. It's almost like you have a protective barrier around your psyche, where of course you are aware of what's going on, and you might be worried in the back of your mind, why not? But something prevents you from being sucked up into the moment, from that turning into a drama, even fear. So you feel almost like as if you're in the twilight zone. Like, it's so very weird, it's so very unusual, neither in a good sense, neither in a bad sense. You just can't put the finger on it. And this hangman is telling you that the spirit, and naturally your higher self, but also hand in hand with the shadow, if that makes sense, is really working on something where the reason why you're not really sucked up in difficulties, challenges, hardship, in the drama of it all, is because you kind of feel it unconsciously that a breakthrough moment or a life change is very fast approaching in your life. It's almost knocking at your door. But before you open the door, before you embrace it, it will all start with a big personal epiphany, a moment of sudden realization. And it is that sudden realization which will start everything. So whatever you might or should be worried about right now, regardless if it's someone else's drama, problems, difficulties, and you're there to support and it affects you as well, or if it's your own, regardless, your subtle senses, just know that this is where fate is working very hard in the background, and soon none of what you're experiencing is gonna matter all that much. So you're in for a surprise, you're in for a change, you're very soon in for a hangman reversed expression, a big awakening to a truth or something which will draw with it a life change. So your higher self wants you to know not to panic, not to fear, and as weird and as unusual, or even a little bit confusing as life and reality may feel in the present moment, perhaps this is the first time in your life when you're actually encouraged to just basically give in to it, allow yourself to get lost in the mystery. There is nothing basically for you to understand and decipher in a very deep way, because that is coming to you automatically. So basically just sit back and react or live this the best as you can. For some people this is actually not all that bad. It's actually enjoyable because maybe this draws with itself a lot of synchronicity and, subtle but important manifestations, signs everywhere. For others, it is where like every time they go to sleep, their dreams feel like being in an alternate reality, in a different universe. So that in its way is also enjoyable, if that makes sense. While for other people, a certain state of weird passivity and a certain calm is much better than living in drama, so that also has its good side. So basically just don't worry and go with the flow, because this is gonna lead somewhere important. So thank you so much for listening. I wish everyone a magical weekend. Hi everyone who has chosen the 4th card. Your card is the Emperor, and this might reflect for you guys a certain kind of inner conflict where your higher self wants to give you a little bit of clarity. Now when I say inner conflict, don't think about like big things, don't think about like personal drama and all of that. It is more like sometimes there is like a big question mark where you might be looking at your own morality and can't really make up your mind if you're actually doing the right thing or not the wrong thing, not necessarily, but perhaps maybe if you're not being as balanced or in control as you should be. Now, let me explain this. With the symbolism of the Emperor, it is without a question that you guys are investing strength, focus into something that you're doing. But this doesn't necessarily have to be like job or activity or anything. Living life. Being yourself. Being in control of your life, if that makes sense. So basically this reflects onto every single area of life, including the very subtle ones like the spiritual one, psychological one. You are embodying the energy of the Emperor. Of course, we all do it because the lower expression of the Emperor is survival instincts, doing the necessary activities, choices, things for survival to exist. But this is where you are investing your energy, your time, your focus, your inner strength, and also your spiritual strength into yourself, your life, and everything in it. This Emperor also speaks about your position of power. This is different for every single person. What is it about you that makes you powerful? Where exactly is your strength, your power? Let me just give you examples so you get what I'm speaking about. Some people are like really good friends. That is where their power lies. Other people are really good at service, doing something for, like professionally for other people. That is also where their power lies. Other people are very good at self-care, self-nurture, self-love even. That is where their power lies. So, you get what I'm trying to say here. This Emperor means that you are in your position of power. Whatever you're good at, wherever your power lies, that is heavily focused upon right now. And not necessarily because you want it this way, but rather because the karmic patterns playing out right now in this period are emphasizing that. So it's supposed to be like this. Everyone is called to basically embody the Emperor, to be king of their own castles, which means their lives, their being, etc. And maybe not necessarily for everyone, but for some people I do also sense that this Emperor means a lot of momentum. You very recently, perhaps in the recent past, got something popped up in your life which really caught your attention, your focus. Maybe there were like changes in your lives, for other people opportunities, for other people a person, a lover, someone who just came out of nowhere and said, I'm interested in you. Do you want to be friends? And this is different for everyone, but this really caught your attention, your focus. So even in that sense, you are the emperor because you have to make choices. You have to be in control. You have to work with your own sovereignty. You also have to be very responsible. You also have to analyze, draw conclusions, etc., etc. So basically, living life in a very intense way when something just really catches your attention, when something not very average or common happens, well, of course you are there. And this part is absolutely fine because you feel guided, you are doing it, you're living it. You're even acting with great diligence and wisdom, as in not really giving into whatever that is, trying it, testing it, thinking, contemplating, playing the game very safely, very diligently, but at the same time, this consumes your energy, this consumes your time, and you do have to sacrifice certain priorities in your everyday life. And for some of you, especially those who are much more spiritual in nature, you might be asking yourself, and this is the inner conflict, are you being selfish? Are you being self-centered? Are you actually embodying instinctually the not so favorable qualities of the emperor, which is basically living in your own castle and ignoring everything and everyone else? And of course, there is this doubt. Should you change this? Should you give more attention to other people or other things in your life? Should you share your energy, your attention, your time more? It's almost like feeling guilty that you are the star of your own show, if that makes sense. And with the emperor, your higher self is reflecting, telling you that you should banish all doubts and all questions from your mind, because this is supposed to be this way. You should be exactly the star of your own show, the king of your own castle. Right now, your life and things that are happening in your life truly require all of your attention, all of your power, all of your focus. And as I said earlier, whatever happened in your life, well, it is not like something being handed down to you on a silver tray. It does need a contemplation, it does need diligence. So you're actually doing the work, you're playing life's game exactly by the rules. You're living in the now. Living in the now means that you need all of your energy. You need to be there with all sides of your being, and you're actually doing it, so there is no reason to feel guilty. Quite the contrary. Own it, be it, rule it, be the emperor in your own life. And would any other person or even yourself make you feel guilty? There is absolutely no reason for that, because this has to be this way. In fact, if other people are questioning you, are why aren't you spending as much time with me, etc., etc., well, they should be supporting you. They should be actually giving you right now their time and their attention, because this is your moment when the karmic spotlight is on you, so you have to perform. You cannot compromise your own show. You cannot compromise the safety, integrity of your own castle. So your higher self just wants you to be even more confident and just live it, do it, experience it, go with the flow, but in a way that you're always in control of yourself. So thank you so much for listening. I wish everyone a magical weekend. Hello everyone who has chosen the fifth and final card, which is the Three of Cups. Now, this is also a really beautiful and quite uplifting symbolism, and I do have the sense that you guys who were drawn to this fifth card are either artists or you take spirituality very seriously as you work with it on a daily. It's perhaps the most important part of your lives, or you are looking for love. So the message of this card is a tiny bit different for each and every group, or better said subgroup, and I would like to start with the artists. This is where the Three of Cups tells you that in the last couple of months, even year, life as an artist wasn't all that pleasurable, wasn't all that magical, because you might have worked really, really hard and you had a lot of moments where you said, oh my God, I can't believe I created this. How truly proud I am of myself. But not necessarily that you couldn't share this blessing basically with other people, because I'm sure that you could with your close ones, but maybe your work seemed, and this is important, seemed that it wasn't all that appreciated as it should be, because you just know that you really did good. For a lot of you, especially those who are artists, you really must have done some mind-blowing work which you wouldn't even expect from yourself, to be that creative, to be that good, to be that in the flow. And maybe the fact that there wasn't such a big, huge response to this, maybe from your public, or it didn't turn into prosperity, if you know what I'm saying. It might have demotivated you a little bit. It might have made you feel a little bit insecure. But this is where your higher self, with the Three of Cups, wants to tell you that the reward was not really part of the deal. Of course, you didn't know this. You just felt motivated and you created. But it was really the creation which mattered the most, because the rewards are coming at a later date, perhaps in the next 3 months, or perhaps this might mean March next year, 2022, where whatever you have done and shared and created is out there, it exists, and it needs time to attract the best person for it, or business, or collaboration, or whatever that reward is for you personally. Because, as I said earlier, what you created was really special, and that means it's really not for it cannot fall into the wrong hands. It's a part of your soul, so it can only come to the person who can appreciate that, who is like you in a certain way. That which you create attracts that which also has that seed within themselves. So the Three of Cups either represents a collaboration or an ally, or someone who can really boost your work, but not in an artistic sense, but in exactly in the sense in which you need it, like business or publicity or money or stuff like that. Or for others, it can also mean that the past work, that which wasn't necessarily rewarded materially, was basically just the start. Whatever you're gonna be creating in the next 3 months or March next year, now that's gonna be truly mind-blowing, and there will be no way how that doesn't turn into some kind of material reward or prosperity. So basically this says you haven't seen, and if you thought that your work was impressive until now, then just wait until you tune into an even higher source of inspiration. Now, for those of you who are in the spiritual category, this means that in the past 3 months, there was a lot of spiritual activity in your lives. Signs and states, and even you spiritually, through spiritual means, manifested very many things, maybe many small things, but manifestation is still manifestation. And in many cases, You were just like, I can't believe that what I was thinking about came to me almost like literally, not symbolically, not path of least resistance, but literally. And right now, you might be thinking, oh, the magic is gone, the hype is gone, it was fun while it lasted, but things are quieting down, and it's part of the flow, but this is where your spirit guides are telling you that, oh, you're so very wrong, because you haven't seen anything yet. This Three of Cups for you guys means like almost a direct, a very personal, a very intense encounter with the spirit world, or with whatever you're spiritual working with. Like, for example, those who focus more on the quantum side of things, if that makes sense, and you're a huge fan of extraterrestrial inspiration, if that makes sense, if you were attempting to channel extraterrestrial beings and stuff like that, well, you will be in for a shock. But, regardless of what your situation is, this means encounter with the spirit in such a way where for you personally, it's gonna be a game changer. As in, believing is seeing, and seeing is believing at the same time. So something of spiritual nature, of course, is heading your way, and very, very fast. Now, of course, this doesn't necessarily mean like a manifestation of your desire in a physical sense, because you already had that. That was the experience this is based upon. This will be like some other kind of manifestation where the spirit is gonna show you, or I don't even know, tell you, guide you very personally, very literally. So whatever is coming is gonna be way more important than just manifesting something that you want. It might even be some kind of new knowledge. It might even be something that you will, invent or initiate in the world of spirituality. So maybe this is your path to fame, but don't understand it in an earthly sense, if you know what I mean. Notoriety, but in a good way, not where they feed your ego and you become a best-selling author and stuff like that. And last but not least, but for those who are seeking love, this is where, and even this has a subcategory, and I'm so sorry for this multilateral way of expression, a way of channeling. So some of you guys either have been encountering some people in the recent past, perhaps the past 3 months, where you were almost like thinking, is this new relationship I'm waiting for? And it turned into a friendship, or it turned into a really positive social connection, but it wasn't really the love or the romance you were looking for. It just seemed that way. While for other people, you might have encountered someone through your work, especially if you're a freelancer of any kind, so not really applicable to those people who have like 9-to-5 jobs in an office or work for someone, have a boss. This more goes for freelancers. And you might have encountered a, let's say, customer or whatever the nature of your work is, who was more than impressed. And whatever you did had a very personal element to it, and you really impressed that person, and you have no clue about this. So anyway, where I'm going with this, regardless of what your situation is, for those who have almost found love but nothing turned into something palpable, concrete, real, for you guys that was almost like the calm before the storm. That theme of just encountering people will continue, and one of them will be a potential match. Of course, this doesn't guarantee anything, but take it for what it is, a potential match. What you do with that match, that will be your choice there and then. For other people, those who made some connections Or if you are that freelancer, maybe this just goes for one single person. You did something for someone anyway. Well, prepare for a surprise because you already, as in know the person who is romantically interested in you, but you have no clue. You don't even suspect because there wasn't expression for this. Now, naturally, this doesn't mean anything either, because what will happen is that you will find out, or they will tell you a moment of confrontation, but it depends on choice what happens after. So your higher self is actually telling you not to shy away when the moment comes, not to cut all cords with that person before they even have a chance to express what they want to say. Let me just give you an example. You're that freelancer, yeah, and you did what you did, and naturally you know that the person was very satisfied because they told you about how nice, how helpful, or whatever the nature of your activity was, and then they write to you again thanking you in a different way. So don't be all professional. Give way for friendship, if that makes sense. Don't just say happy to help, thank you, bye. Give way to the flow of, a conversation. Give the person the chance to express what they want. Because maybe this is the biggest obstacle. They don't know if you're just a professional or if you're open to more than that. So this is what your higher self wants to tell you. Thank you everyone for listening. I wish everyone a magical weekend. Until next time, bye for now.